failed to remove her car from the Flock database.
Amber Newell was allegedly pulled over at gunpoint by Brookfield police on I-94 as part of a homicide investigation. Newell was not involved in the homicide, and her car had already been searched. She has hired attorney B. Ivory Lamar, who says they hope to avoid a full lawsuit, but will file one if necessary. Police say her car remained flagged due to a human error, not a Flock system issue. Elizabeth Linton in WTMJ News.
A woman arrested after a swatting call that led to a shelter-in-place in Heartland.
The 50-year-old told police she was being held captive at gunpoint inside her apartment near Willow and Campus yesterday afternoon. Nearby communities and schools were told to go into lockdown due to the allegations. It turned out the woman allegedly fabricated the call and was not in any danger. She was arrested for swatting and disorderly conduct. Jen Gregg, WTMJ News.
The death toll continuing to climb following that catastrophic flooding in Nepal. Over 1,000 people still missing, including dozens of Americans.
Areas where homes and businesses once stood are now buried under mountains of mud and debris, with at least 1,300 still unaccounted for, including 65 Americans. And that number is expected to rise. 22 of the missing were in a group from Tennessee who were taking part in a spiritual pilgrimage.
That's ABC's James Longman. The UN and World Health Organization are assisting with the recovery efforts. Jurors in the murder trial of Lindsay Clancy will face a critical decision today about whether the Massachusetts mother was in the throes of postpartum psychosis when she killed her 3 children.
Deliberations are set to begin later today after jurors hear about an hour of closing arguments from each side. Clancy's defense team acknowledges she was responsible for killing her 3 children, but argues she was suffering from postpartum psychosis and lost her grip on reality. If the jury concludes that Clancy could not tell the difference between right and wrong because of that psychosis, they could find her not guilty by reason of insanity, an outcome that would result in her being sent to a state psychiatric facility. If they believe she's guilty of murder, she faces a mandatory life sentence. Peter Haralambous, ABC News.
Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the green to start off. The Dow is up 158 points at 53,621. The NASDAQ up over 1% at 26,463. And the S&P 500 sitting at 7,720. That's up 45. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:04.
Don't miss out on the Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. Our entire showroom of heirloom quality furniture is on sale. Enjoy factory discounts on exceptional brands like Norwalk, Bradington Young, Hooker, and our Amish dining and bedroom collections. Create a sofa, chair, sectional, or recliner as unique as you are with our thousands of customizable upholstery options. For unbeatable savings on better quality furniture, shop the Labor Day sale now at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown. There's no doubt that a better night's sleep makes for better days, and a good quality mattress helps make it happen. When you buy your new Milwaukee mattress from Ken Michaels Furniture, you are assured of a mattress made individually for you, out of the finest materials right from our own Milwaukee factory. We make every style, size, and firmness of mattress imaginable, and with our factory direct prices, you will save hundreds of dollars. Milwaukee mattress from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee, where better days come from a great night's sleep.
Screaming Sicilian, more is amore. Screaming Sicilian, more is amore. Amore, pepperoni, amore, mozzarella, amore. Screaming Sicilian,
Screaming Sicilian frozen pizza. More toppings, more flavor. More is amore.
Are you looking to upgrade your bathroom with a new walk-in shower or a new tub? At Abbey Home, we take everything down to the studs, pull the plumbing permits, and you have a brand new bath or shower in as little as 1 day. And to top it off, we're having our 16-year anniversary sale. Right now, get a free shower door with your new bath or shower. And if somebody asks you if you know a guy in the business, you can say no, but I know a girl. Go to abbeyhome.com today or give us a call, 414-436-ABBY, 414-436-2229.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all sports desk. Rubber game tonight in New York between the Brewers and Mets. Milwaukee with a win last night, 8-1. Scary moment, though, on the first pitch of the game. Starter Dustin May was hit by a line drive, had to come out. Brewers president of baseball operations, Matt Arnold.
He's tough as nails, and after the game I talked to him, and he said he's doing okay. But like Murph said, I mean, when you get hit by 106, it's going to be painful. So thankfully, he's doing okay.
X-rays did come back negative. May dealing with a bruised shoulder blade. Jacob Mizorowski on the mound tonight for the Crew. All of our coverage starting at 5:35 here on WTMJ. Pretty calm joint practice yesterday between the Packers and Cardinals. Only a few minor scuffles and dust-ups. Tight end Tucker Kraft saying, though, he continues to feel good with the more reps he takes.
I mean, when I'm out there competing, I'm trying to have a plan for each step I take just to clean up my footwork and my fundamentals. I'm not thinking about it. All I'm thinking about is running as fast as I can and getting open.
Packers and Cardinals will wrap up the preseason tomorrow night at Lambeau. Take a look at the road, your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We have a crash that we're dealing with, 894 northbound as you're heading into the Zoo interchange. This is right at Greenfield Avenue, part of the right shoulder, kind of blocked there because of this accident. So just slowing you down a little bit in that stretch. Also seeing a bit of a slowdown, 94 southbound out of the Marquette. This delay starts at Lapham, and you'll be tapping the brakes until you get past Oklahoma. And then typical delays, 94 east and westbound right through the stadium interchange. Everything else looking okay.
Traffic is sponsored by the amazing Mineshaft Restaurant in downtown Hartford.
The Mineshaft Restaurant in Hartford needs line cooks and dishwashers. You'll make real money. Parents and grandparents, tell your kids. Contact the Mineshaft today and start next week.
Plenty of sunshine throughout your Thursday. Pretty pleasant conditions as well. High around 78. Tonight then partly cloudy with a low down to 63. Pretty much on repeat tomorrow. Sunshine with highs in the upper 70s. And then into the weekend Saturday, partly cloudy. Going to be a bit warmer. We could maybe see a shower or storm Saturday. High of 81. Right now 71 degrees in Madison. Sitting at 74 in Kenosha. And it's 74 in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristen Bry.
That would be our cue to start talking. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hi, Kristen Bry.
Hello.
It's a hair up day for you today.
It was a hair up day.
Looking very put together.
I try.
You succeeded.
Thanks.
So, a question as before I launch into what we're going to talk about. Do you ever? I send myself texts. Do you ever do this?
I do a variety of things. Sometimes I send myself an email. Because I am an Apple girl.
Yeah.
I can airdrop myself things between my phone and my laptop, which is why I choose not to use a company laptop, because I can't do, after years of Apple, I can't do PCs.
It's different. So it's much different.
But yes, to a certain extent, in some version, I send myself stuff in different ways.
So because I've been on this, well, it was one of my, even though I was never a big New Year's resolution guy, it was one of my resolutions a couple of years back to sort of be more organized. One of the ways I stay organized, or at least stay on track, is to send myself texts. Things that I either want to talk about or things I have to get done personally. Or I know I have a work schedule and a home schedule. I have both of those things. But yeah, if you're not looking at it, you might miss it. So text is sort of a way. I look at my text constantly. Like I like to clean it up. And this topic that we're going to get to, which is the change in the law when it comes to technology for kids in schools, was something I texted myself like early this summer. And I finally went back and started looking at those texts because I wasn't following my own text string. And reminder that on July 1st, every Wisconsin public school had to adopt a new technology policy for personal use of any technology device, laptops, phones. It's different for the school issue because we know that that's a big thing still for some, although some schools are pulling back. So that was the reminder I had to I wanted to get back to this because we've been sort of on this sort of technology, screen time, influencer yesterday with Kate W.
Tuesday with
Kate. About being better at understanding the risks and the opportunities with technology. And so this was a reminder that I got because I texted myself.
Okay.
Long-winded.
So where do you want to go with this topic?
So I guess this is one where I tried to do some digging this morning, but like every school district has the ability to sort of create their own policy based on the law. The law is really simple. It prohibits pupils, students, from using a wireless communication device during instructional time. And I tagged on that only applies to personal devices. Again, only instructional time. So some of the opportunities that kids might have is lunch, between classes, before school, after school. But every school district can do something different. And according to what I was reading this morning, some have like the whole bell-to-bell thing, man. You can't do anything while in that period. Some allow phones in hallways, outside of class, extracurricular stuff. You could have a phone, access to a phone. And the state law apparently leaves that decision to the local school boards. And I've talked to a lot of school board members about this issue, and they're all over the place.
Well, give me some of the feedback that they've given you.
So some have said we don't want them to have their phones during school. They can keep them in their lockers, in their lockers or in their bags, whatever they have there. There was one school district, I wish I could remember off the top of my head, but I don't, where they actually lock them up. And it might have been a private school district, or private school rather.
Like you come in
and you lock it, like a concert. You know, some of the concerts do this.
What are those called? Like Medlar bags or something like that. Yeah. I know that's not the actual name, but if you know the actual name,
that would be like
855-65.
That would be like the most extreme, right? And that would involve a lot of cost too, right? And supervision.
And that's what I imagine to a certain extent. The preference probably for many administrators and teachers is just lock them up for the entire day.
Yeah.
But then you have to get into who's the bad guy. How are you actually enforcing it? Because for a long time, teachers were just kind of left out to dry to be the enforcers and be the bad guys.
Yeah.
And so now at least there is standardization. This is the rule, not in class, and this is a state law. But now you're still choosing to enforce it in those in-between times before school, after school. And whose job is that then? Because it's going to be an additional job on top of everything else people who work at schools have to do.
So this is where I need all of your help, because many of you are parents who have now sent their kids back to school or will be soon sending their kids back to school.
I think most places are Monday.
Yeah, and Illinois has been back for like a week and a half already because my grandkids are back in school. So I'm interested. Now, it's before someone says what's the exceptions, it's emergency, healthcare needs, student disabilities, or a specific educational purpose. Those are the four exceptions as indicated in the state law in Wisconsin. And there's no like national law. This is a Wisconsin law. So for my ask of parents, and you can certainly text us or call 855-616-1620, what is your school district doing? Because I'm curious what the differences might be. And I guess the ultimate question is, do we think this is going to improve the educational outcomes of our students? And that's going to be a long-term play, right? It's going to be a while before we can figure that out. We know that they've been declining. And you can blame social media, you can blame technology, you can blame a lot of things, outside influences, how we teach, curriculum.
I mean, I don't know if some of it isn't going back to the school-issued screens. It was interesting, some of the feedback that we got.
Yeah.
We posted a reel from when Kate was here on Tuesday, and we were talking about the fact that, first graders get issued Chromebooks. And she actually went home and she goes, oh, actually, her son is going to get a Chromebook.
Yeah.
And I had some DMs after we posted that of one mom saying, like, some of my son's classmates can't read. And it's I don't know if just the personal use and eliminating time spent there is the only issue causing some of our educational woes.
And the interesting thing, sort of something we highlighted yesterday, is with this Meta settlement, they're going to be restricting, they say, again, we'll see how that plays out, children's access to some of these, I think it's midnight to 6 a.m., which doesn't seem that, that's still a lot of time in the evening, making it harder for them to sign into these platforms, all of these sort of regs and regulations associated with that. Again, we'll see what Meta actually comes up with. So for parents, we got to get to break here, but what are you hearing from your school district? Have they sent out a technology advisement? Are they telling you what they're going to do, what their policy is? Because as of July 1st, this past summer, the rule has changed. No personal use, no personal technology during instructional time. How are they defining instructional time? I think it's going to be fascinating to see how this all plays out. Love to hear what you have experienced or what you're being told as your kids head back to school. It's one of those risky topics where I don't know the answer to the question that I'm asking, but I'm asking you to tell me what you know about it. So help us out, 855-616-1620. We'll take a quick break as we launch into our Thursday edition of Point Taken on 620 WTMJ.
Good Karma Sports is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with Good Karma Sports, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmasports.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmasports.com.
Hey, it's WTMJ, Steve Scaffidi. One of the things I enjoy most about living here in Wisconsin, and there are many things, that you never have to travel far to feel like you've truly gotten away. That's exactly why I love Lake Lawn Resort in Delavan. I've been going there for decades. It's the kind of place where you can slow down, leave the daily routine behind, enjoy everything our state has to offer, like, for example, the beautiful Majestic Oak Golf Course. Golfed many rounds there. It's a fun, challenging round with inviting, incredible views along Delavan Lake. Then after golf, nothing better than heading over to Caldora Spa to relax, recharge. How about a massage or facial? Whether you're planning a couple's getaway or a golf trip with friends, that's the location. Just a perfect spot to get that relaxing weekend away. Lake Lawn Resort has something for everyone. Great restaurants as well. Book your stay today at lakelawnresort.com. Come find out for yourself why everything is better at the lake.
Whoop, just doing some roofing on another lovely Wisconsin day. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, no. It's just roofing done the old-fashioned way. Do you need shingles? Well, let's mingle. For a Wisconsin tradition never dwindles. So raise a glass, shake a hand for this old-fashioned brand. Whoop, that's old-fashioned roofing.
Want to stay up to date with the crew?
It is a 2-run single for Sal Frelick. He is 2 for 2.
Tune in to Brewers Extra Innings with Dominic Cotroneo after every game.
That is a dynamic player when he is right, when he is healthy. This dude nearly hit 300 a season ago. We should not be discrediting that, because what Sal can do here in the final month of the year could be very important for the balance of this line.
Or listen anytime on the Brewers All Access podcast feed. We are your home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Cell phone technology use has changed in the classrooms of Wisconsin since July 1st. I know not all the kids go do summer school and everything, but the school year is essentially starting for a lot of people next week or the week after. The law is that it prohibits pupils from using a wireless communication device during instructional time. Texture weighs in from the 920 area code. Plymouth High School has no personal electronic device use between 7:35 and 2:40. So no phones at all during the time when school's in session. They're being encouraged to keep their cell phones in their lockers, which is what I've heard from other school board people. I guess that's the best way to do it. And I would also love if there's somebody that's, how would we get a high school student to call in? They'd have to be off right now. I guess what they're planning on how.
Do you think many high school students listen to the show?
I would hope they do. If you're like somebody who's interested in like poli-sci
I think we have
or
some
something.
young people. I feel like the youngest, if I had to bet, I don't know how we would ever prove this, our youngest listener is like 22.
Yeah. Oh, well, there's probably a marketing study we could do that would find that information out. I think you'd be surprised, because I was a young person who listened to AM radio when I was like a teenager. Now, it was different.
I was going to say, there's not a lot of options.
There wasn't a diversity of other things to do.
You didn't have a personal device that had to be put into a locker during school
hours.
hours.
Turn the old radio on, the dial to this. It's like completely different. There was some news. We talked about it yesterday with Meta. As part of the settlement, Wisconsin is going to get, what is it, $200 million?
So Wisconsin's going to get at least $219 million.
Right.
We could receive up to $313 million. And the total payout across all the states that were involved is one of the largest consumer protection settlements ever. Not even just with tech, but I think it's the second only to tobacco, which is something. But it also is like such a. It's also still, yes, as far as the percentage of Meta's revenue. But I digress. So the proposed settlement says that at least 50% of Wisconsin's payout must go to promoting youth mental health and to addressing harms caused by social media. So I don't know what programs this will get funneled into, but if that goes through the school, if it goes through nonprofits, but it'll be interesting to track what now can get funded as we talk so much about Gen Alpha, Gen Z, and some of their mental health crises. what this can now actually go towards.
I think with the standards that Meta's talking about putting on their platforms and this sort of settlement money, there's an opportunity. We're starting to get texts, so thank you for those who are texting in. As a former longtime teacher retired, our district and many others allow them in halls and lunch, etc., because it's a compromise to keep parents and some kids from throwing a fit about the rules.
Because there are some parents who want their kid to have their phone on them.
Yeah, well, parents want a lot of things, but I mean, the school district sometimes has to say no.
Are you a parental rights guy?
To a degree, yeah. I mean,
like, where do you
listen
think
to
the line?
parents.
Because I feel like that's the big thing in the last, since COVID, basically, right? There was a changing of tides as kids were home, parents got more access or started paying more attention to the curriculum their kids were having, and parental rights became a bigger, catchphrase. And so, where do you feel like that starts and begins?
If you're
when it
talking
comes
about
to school?
curriculum, no.
Okay.
Here's my real
About
life
book bans.
No.
And concerns over what's in a library.
No, because one person's book we should ban is another person's, that's a book we should all read. That's the danger of that. The curriculum one is interesting because what I know about parents, and my wife's a teacher and my brother's a teacher, and I've been around that educational environment as a city leader because you work closely together with school. There's on a lot of different projects. Is that I know parents, they're not educators. And many times they don't know the basics about the things that their kids probably are smarter on math than they are. Let's just put it that way. So whether you think you know, you probably don't know. Unless you work in that field. Yeah, if you're an engineer, you probably know some of that stuff because you had to take a lot of math to be an engineer. But from the number of calls we get from our relatives when Kathy was teaching advanced math, from brothers, sisters, in-laws, hey, can Kathy walk me? You really want to be designing the curriculum of your students based on that lack of knowledge? Seriously. So that's my problem.
Well, and that's because, the increase of people who are doing homeschooling now, right? Like we're at record highs of people doing homeschooling. And I understand that there's a lot of online curriculum now that you can tap into if you choose to do homeschooling. But so today is Frankie's last day in her 2-year-old classroom, which I call it a classroom, right? In the school that we're at, it is daycare, but there is legit curriculum. And I'm going to gift, because I know none of them are listening because they're working, I'm gifting her teachers, now that she's moving on to the next class, I got it bound and printed and bound, the speech that I gave earlier this year to the Wisconsin Child Care Administrators Association, as far as my appreciation as a working mom for childcare workers, because there is no way, a lot of what the speech is even if I chose to stay home, there's no way Frankie would be as far along as she is if she was home with me.
Yeah.
Because I don't have their training or patience.
That was my point.
Right?
Exactly,
as far as there is different skill sets that we hand our children over to benefit from than what we are capable. Some people are capable of doing it, right?
Yeah.
I am not.
And that's my concern. Thanks for all the texts, by the way. The middle school in Franklin last year started having the phones locked up for the whole school day. It has reduced the bullying by leaps and bounds. That's good. It was amazing that there wasn't pushback to it. They're also reducing the use of Chromebooks this year. Interesting.
I listen to this radio, and I'm 17.
Love that.
I'm definitely the youngest, though. The phone rule is stupid.
Yeah. To that 17-year-old listener from the 414, tell me us why you think it's stupid.
Yeah.
Because
Elaborate.
Kristen and I have spent a lot of time showing, hopefully demonstrating that this is a somewhat dangerous slope that we're on when it comes to use of smartphones and all the social media apps. But I'd love to hear your input. Welcome your text, 855-616-1620. Quick break on WTMJ.
Meet Jim and Rita.
We went on a motorcycle trip.
But somewhere in Wyoming, Jim and Rita were in a serious accident.
They blocked off the interstate and everything and took us to the hospital.
Sometime later, Rita made a discovery.
She had noticed that the bracelet was gone. And I asked the trooper, is there a chance we can go out there and see if it's still there?
And amazingly,
he found a couple of pieces.
It was only 2 tiny links of the bracelet.
Jim was determined to buy Rita another bracelet from Kessler's.
And I had my checkbook in my hand.
But when he arrived there,
and I said, okay, how much? And she says, that's part of our warranty.
Jim and Rita discovered the Kessler's miraculous, no small print warranty.
It's just amazing that you guys do this.
And it's true.
If you bought it at Kessler's, it's guaranteed. It's just that simple.
It surely is miraculous.
Read the Kessler's Miraculous No Small Print Warranty yourself at KesslersDiamonds.com.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wicker, Chief Homebuyer Helper with Wisconsin's own Accunet Mortgage. Nicer homes are still getting multiple offers over asking, and there's only one winner per listing. I want to help you be that winner, which is why I just increased the Rock Solid Pre-Approval Guarantee to $10,000. It's all about getting the seller to pick your offer over the others. So Accunet is now guaranteeing in writing to pay the seller 10,000 American bucks if we can't make good on the terms of your fully verified Rock Solid Pre-Approval. Banks don't do that. We're willing to stand behind our work and stand behind you with a $10,000 guarantee that sellers will definitely notice. Maybe you've been writing offers and losing, which feels terrible, or maybe you're just starting out. Either way, don't settle for a flimsy bank pre-approval and let someone else end up sleeping in your dream home. Give the seller 10,000 reasons to say yes to your offer with Accunet's new $10,000 Rock Solid Seller Guarantee. Get started with yours today at accunet.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
Are your employee-free Hassleus showrooms some kind of big viral prank?
We simply let you try our selection of Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and more without commission-crazy salespeople breathing down your neck.
Sure you do.
And through Monday, get a free adjustable base with the purchase of a select Sealy Posturepedic or Beautyrest mattress, plus free next-day delivery.
So shopping at Hassleus won't make me TikTok famous?
Absolutely not.
Darn.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hassleus.com.
Boy, do we live in a fantastic state. WTMJ's John Mercure here. We explore the state each week, Saturdays at 1 o'clock, and Experience Wisconsin. That's right. We go from Lake Michigan to the Mississippi, from north to south. This week's show, it's incredible. We'll take you to some really cool places. We will go to Racine County. We'll check out lovely Lake Geneva, and we'll spend some time in Whitewater, the best and brightest in the state of Wisconsin. It's Experience Wisconsin, Saturdays at 1, right here on 620 WTMJ.
Definitely struck a chord with parents and teachers and even State Senator John Jagler, friend of the show and former WTMJ employee and news guy. We're going to run out of time, but I just asked John on the text line if he can join us next week because he's chair of the Education Committee. So love to get his thoughts on that. Great text about one of the distractions that kids are getting, not where you might think.
Yeah, so I'm a high school teacher, and they go on to say that they implemented phone policy. It worked, but then they also said, this is from the 4 and 4, a majority of the time when I had a problem with a student on their phone during class, it was because their parent wouldn't stop messaging them. I wish parents would realize how disruptive it is to text their child during class time. And there is something about that as far as our need. My mom always talks about this. I like a while ago when I would, this was an ex-boyfriend. She's like, I just can't get over how you guys just have constant access to each other all day while you're at work. She goes, when your dad went to work, he was at work. And I only called when I really needed something. And even then, I still had to get through his secretary, right? As far as what it used to be like to have to wait to talk to the person you had something to say to. Versus now, it's like, why aren't you responding?
Yeah. Why do you think people think it's great or better that they are in constant contact with whoever they're talking to?
I don't know. I think there's something that these phones have done to just instant gratification for us and an inability to be patient.
Do you think this is reversible? I do. I think we can change. This is a good first step, in my opinion.
I think it's a good first step. I was reading this morning, and I know we're gonna, because we got bumped yesterday from doing our podcast. I think the tides are turning a little bit on big tech, both in and the pushback on the data centers, on the fear around AI, on some of these lawsuits that are coming to fruition against the social media companies. And I think the general feeling of this, there has to be this has not necessarily done what we wanted it to do for our brains and our mental health. Yeah. And that there is starting to be more pushback. And
from the texter from Oak Creek, they get in the hallways and at lunch. I think that in the texter said that's fair. So a compromise. And we're going to learn a lot about this as the school year starts, because I can guarantee you there will be stories about the impact of this new state law. All right, we got local news with Neil Doyle. Here's now the latest from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Sherry. Preston, dozens of Americans are among the 1,300 missing in the Himalayan mudslide. The death toll stands at more than 350 people as searches go on for those who remain unaccounted for. Closing arguments underway in the Lindsay Clancy murder trial. She is on trial for killing her 3 children. Her attorney says she was suffering through postpartum psychosis when she murdered them. As for jury instructions, ABC's Peter Haralambou says
this case got very complicated yesterday when the judge decided that this jury can consider the lesser included offenses of second-degree murder and manslaughter. This is no longer a question of is Clancy unable to tell the difference between right and wrong because of her psychosis and get sent to a facility, or get sent to prison because she's guilty of first-degree murder. The jury has more options now.
Tropical storm Dolly has formed in the Atlantic Ocean. There is no connection to country music icon Dolly Parton, who died a couple of days ago. Meteorologists say it's just a coincidence. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1031. I'm Neil Doyle. A pedestrian hit and killed on Milwaukee's north side. Police say the 75-year-old victim was crossing near 5th and North last night when they were struck by a car. The victim later died at the hospital. The 77-year-old driver did stay at the scene and was taken into custody. The Milwaukee County DA's office is reviewing the charges. A nearly $900 million plan to replace Milwaukee County's aging safety building is moving forward. The massive courthouse project getting the green light from the county's Capital Improvements Committee. That's just the first step in the process. The proposal now will head to the county board next month, where it will need a 2/3 majority for approval. Governor Tony Evers officially asking for a disaster declaration from the White House after severe storms and a tornado across the Fox Valley last month.
A damage assessment from the Federal Emergency Management Agency found nearly $14 million in damage to public infrastructure and another $8 million to residential properties across Winnebago, Outagamie, Vilas, and Forest counties. The formal request for aid comes after severe storms, including an EF3 tornado that prompted Evers to declare a state of emergency and activate the Wisconsin National Guard. The disaster declaration request now awaits approval from President Trump. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the green. The NASDAQ up over 1% at 26,447. The Dow at 53,640. That's up 179 points. And the S&P 500 is up 47 at 7,720. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Take a look at the roads, your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We did have that crash 894 northbound as you were kind of heading into the Zoo interchange. Looks like that's been cleared, so all good there. Kind of tapping the brakes as usual, 94 east and westbound through the stadium, and still seeing some slowdowns 94 southbound as you head out of the Marquette. Kind of tapping the brakes as you hit Lapham, and then we'll ease up once you get past Oklahoma. As for your forecast, plenty of sunshine, very pleasant conditions today, a high of 78 degrees. Tonight then partly cloudy with a low down to 63. Pretty much on repeat tomorrow. Sunshine, highs in the upper 70s, and then into the weekend, Saturday, partly cloudy. Could maybe see a shower or storm with a high of 81. Right now, it's 70 degrees in Sheboygan. We're sitting at 74 in Waukesha and at 75 in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 1034.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. Join Griffin Ford in Waukesha for 2 days of big savings and a great time. Saturday, August 29th and Labor Day only. Choose from Griffin Ford's huge selection of new and used vehicles. New vehicles are priced to move, and used vehicles start at just $995. Buy a vehicle on either day and drive home with your choice of a 55-inch flat-screen TV or a $250 grocery gift card. That's amazing. Take a test drive and receive a free metal tumbler. And on Saturday, enjoy a food truck on site while you shop. Don't miss these incredible deals at Griffin Ford in Waukesha. The savings, giveaways, and special offers are available on Saturday and Labor Day only. It's Griffin Ford in Waukesha. Best service, best selection. Jim Griffin's team's going to take great care of you. Visit Griffin Ford today and drive home happy. It's Griffin Ford in Waukesha with a big old celebration and specials for you.
It's summer now, but you know what's coming down the pike? Yup, cold weather and high heating bills. Gene Miller here, and now is a great time to order new windows from my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. With national brands like Anderson, Pella, Marvin, and Softlight, Hometown can offer replacement windows that fit every home, style, and budget. Whether you're looking for wood, Fibrex, fiberglass, or vinyl, Hometown has a product for you. August is Marvin Month. Call or stop in to win a Yeti cooler. That's Hometown with an E for your every window and door need. Visit hometownwindows.com today.
Are you looking for a welcoming place to unwind? Vince Vitrano here. Our family found a home at Racine Country Club. Premier golf on the historic championship course, rolling terrain, famously fast greens, tight fairways, and scenic Root River views. Work your game year-round with indoor simulators, hitting bays, top-notch practice facilities, and leagues for every level. Plus, at Racine Country Club, you enjoy elevated dining, swimming, and a full calendar of family-friendly events. Join me on the course at Racine Country Club, racinecountryclub.com.
It's time for some forward thinking on Point Taken. Brought to you by City Forward Collective, focusing on education in Milwaukee.
We're usually joined by Cleston Morgan, Executive Director of City Forward Collective. He is off today, but we have a special guest. And don't forget, City Forward Collective, a local nonprofit working to ensure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family. That's why we talk about education. Spent the first half hour talking about technology and its impact on our schools, new state law. Special guest in studio, Michael Wynn. I want to get this right. Executive Director of Teach for America Milwaukee. Welcome to the show. Point taken.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. So where should we begin? What do we need to know?
I want to start because I think so you've been in Milwaukee. You came to Milwaukee in 2009 through Teach for America. And when we knew you were coming on, because as a fellow millennial, I feel like in our age bracket, Teach for America was a really big deal, right? Like that was one of the things. If you wanted to go save the world, I had so many classmates who that was what they were trying to get into and applied for Teach for America, and that's what they did post-college. How is it? Is it still as popular as it was when you and I were in college? What's the state of Teach for America right now?
Yeah, so we just talked about, right before we got on air, you and I just talked about Gen Z.
Yeah.
Right? And I actually think Gen Z is such a big part of Teach for America's story right now.
Okay.
And so what I mean by that is, as you are doing your research and I'm reading my pieces, we're learning that Gen Z is an altruistic group. They want to do well. They want to be involved. They may or may not be more as politically aware as previous generations, and they want to make a difference in the community. Those are the folks that we recruit at Teach for America. Right. So as we are recruiting college grads, bringing them into the core, that is the energy that is coming back with TFA. So this current year in Milwaukee, we have 40 active teachers. Right. That is a growth from just shy of 30 last year, just shy of 20 the year before. Right. So for Milwaukee specifically, TFA is growing. We're bringing people in because that Gen Z group is so altruistic and wants to be involved.
Do those members in your organization that teach, do they touch public charter, choice? Do they touch all three?
So our core members are placed in Milwaukee Public Schools and public charter schools. They are not in the private choice schools.
Okay.
But we have, in the city, we have alumni. So alumni are folks who finish the program, who teach, our principals, are actually network leaders in the private school sectors as well, public charter schools, and our principals in the district. So we're all across, but our core members are predominantly in the district and public charter.
How often do people, at least for Milwaukee, since that's where your focus is, when they come, because it's still a 2-year program, so you teach for 2 years, how often do they stay in education, versus whether it's teaching, administration, versus be like, never mind, this is not for me? What do you think the retention rate is?
Yeah, so the most recent data we have, so we just graduated is the easiest term. Our most recent cohort, our 2024 cohort, of all of them, 86% stayed a third year in the classroom.
Wow.
One person who didn't went to graduate school for child psychology.
There you go.
And another person went into water conservation, nonprofit work in the city, right? So recent data says great work. The cohort before that, over 80% also stayed a third year in the classroom.
And they're staying in Milwaukee too?
Well, yes. So
Nice.
82% of our folks stayed in Milwaukee that just finished their core commitment.
Michael Wynn, from Executive Director of Teach for America Milwaukee, joining us on Point Taken. What does your partnership with City Forward Collective look like? And sort of, I guess, based on that, what are you seeing in education in Milwaukee that we should all know about? What should we be aware of?
Yeah, so let's start with the first question. So City Forward Collective, I call them the Ed Champion Group of Milwaukee. They are aware of the policies, the different movements, and advocating for different needs at the state and local level. For us, we overlap with the desire for stronger talent in education, in the classroom, at school leadership, right? So We rely on them to talk to our new teachers, our new core members. What's the state of Milwaukee education? They rely on us to provide information to their groups, and we make connections. We place at a lot of schools that they support. How are we overlapping on shared interests? Now, on the broader question for Milwaukee, one of the big overlapping topics for us is around reading. I'm sure you've all talked about that. Our reading scores right now are not things that we are proudly writing home about as a city. The Milwaukee Reading Coalition, a group here in Milwaukee, has been a big influence on TFA, Teach for America. They want to better train, bring resources to schools so teachers can be better reading teachers. At Milwaukee, all of our core members are receiving that training, right? And we are also supporting with different groups to get more stronger instruction.
So as someone who's been in Milwaukee in the education space since 2009, I'm sure it's not just one thing. But when we talk about reading numbers, what are the different issues at hand to get us where we are right now?
Yeah, I want to keep this at the right high level and not get too wonky, right? But one of the biggest pieces is making sure teachers get the training they deserve so that they can be excellent reading teachers for kids, right? There is something called the science of reading that is science-based, evidence-based. If for the regular person, if you remember Hooked on Phonics as a commercial, right? It's going back to that. How do we teach kids to sound out letters? And quite frankly, in the last 10, 15 years, we haven't had that timing in there or that training in there for teachers to get that done. So how do we get that done? How do we provide that coaching? How do schools get the resources to get that in the classroom?
Our guest this half hour, Michael Wynn, Executive Director of Teach for America Milwaukee. After the break, it's not just reading, it's math as well. And what has to change in our community to make kids learn better? Get to that and more after this on 620 WTMJ.
Just doing some roofing on another lovely Wisconsin day. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, it's just roofing done the old-fashioned way. Do you need shingles? Let's mingle, for a Wisconsin tradition never dwindles. So raise a glass, shake a hand for this old-fashioned brand. Whoop, that's old-fashioned roofing.
The new All-Pro battery by Steel. Tackle any task with 60% more peak power. Exclusively available at your local Steel dealer. 60% peak power comparison between AP300PC and AP300S.
As the kiddos get ready to get back to school, you can find really great back-to-school savings at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. School supplies and some surprisingly cool clothing too. And teachers, you get an additional discount. Get the best back-to-school bargains at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. On Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
When I shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, every time I come in, it's like a whole new store. It's because new inventory's arriving daily, all kinds of everything. And let me tell you, thrift store prices make buying easy, and helping others at the same time, that's icing on the cake. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
I'm Vince Vetrano, joined today by Dr. Corey Casper from Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin.
So we treat a lot of joint issues, cartilage issues, also issues with tendons. So if you've got a knee that's just been bugging you, and maybe you've seen a doctor or two and they haven't given you many options outside of some steroid injections or surgery, that's where we come in and find other treatment options that may help your knee feel better.
Get started online now at orthowisconsin.com.
This message reaches 1 million people or more every week. Spreading the gospel is more than one voice speaking to 1 million. It is and must continue to be 1 million voices, each speaking to one, pointing them to our friend Jesus.
The Lutheran Hour with Dr. Michael Ziegler.
The Lutheran Hour, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WTMJ.
Welcome Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristen Bry, here with Steve Scafidi as always, and we are talking to Michael Wynn, who's the executive director of Teach for America in Milwaukee. And so I guess actually let's back up for a second. So when we talk about teachers in Milwaukee, teachers across Wisconsin, we know that we have a teacher shortage. But as far as attracting teachers through a program like Teach for America versus a more traditional, I graduated with an education degree, like what is the difference and how do they work together? And what do you kind of see as the gap as far as what we need to do to get more teachers? Big question, sorry.
No, that's a great question. I'm trying to think of like a specific example here, right? So let me actually give you an example to answer your question. So I'm thinking of a woman named Jaleesa. Jaleesa graduated from Milwaukee Academy of Science. She was valedictorian 5 years ago at that high school. She went to I got to be careful, Notre Dame. I can't tell if it's Notre Dame University or it's Notre Dame. The people are sensitive about that. She graduated from Notre Dame and gave a call to her teacher from MAS and Milwaukee Academy of Science and says, hey, I want to work with the community. I want to impact children and impact families. What should I consider? And it just so happened that that former teacher of hers was a Teach for America core member that was still at Milwaukee Academy of Science and says, I got a great idea for you. You should join TFA, right? And what made sense specifically for Jaleesa was she wants to work in the community. She wants to work close with families, but she's still trying to find her direction, but knows the impact she wants to make, right? And Teach for America, working with children, being an excellent teacher is a vehicle towards those outcomes for children and families, okay? And when we think about, what we also think about is like, she graduated from a Milwaukee school. She went to a high quality college and now she's back doing community work.
So is that direct relationship to this community? It's like the secret sauce? Because one of the questions I was going to ask you is about what's going to be required here. Is it the training? Is it where they come from? Is it their aspirations as a teacher? What will change to make not only that process easier and better for the kids, but make them smarter?
Well, so let me answer your question by just talking about our recruitment model here, because this is what's been working for us, right? We are bringing in about 50% folks with ties to Wisconsin, 50% of folks like me who in 2009 came here with never stepped foot in Milwaukee before. Right?
But you're from Illinois?
I'm from Illinois.
And you never come to...
I went to Wisconsin Dells.
Fair.
I think that's a common refrain.
Very common.
Thank you.
Yeah, very common place to go visit.
Common refrain. But I never stepped foot in the city, right? But what we're seeking, and our acceptance rate is about 15% of folks who apply get in, okay? And what we're seeking is folks who have leadership background, folks who have worked across different communities, folks who have persevered, folks who have had measurable success. If I didn't tell you that was TFA, we're talking about adults that we want to put in front of children, right? And so how do we get those individuals? We work also closely with UW Milwaukee, with Carthage College. We have a good relationship with Alverno, traditional education programs who are also trying to find the same answers as we are. So what we have to do, whether it's TFA or a traditional program, is help people see this is the impact you can make in the community. This is the lives that you can change. The values you have translates into the classroom. And there's different pieces we have to do at the policy level that makes it a sustainable job.
There's a teacher shortage in Wisconsin. We need more teachers, good qualified teachers. How does your work directly impact that? That's a numbers game. How do you make that magic work?
Yeah, so I mean, in the last 2-3 years here, we've brought about 60, 70 teachers into Milwaukee, right? We are hitting UW-Madison. We are in University of Minnesota. We're recruiting at Marquette, UW-Milwaukee, and across the country with the larger organization. What we're doing is we are learning what people value. What do they care about? And what is the impact they want to make on society? We go back to this Gen Z conversation, right? For all of the warts that get uncovered about who Gen Z is, they are still a young, ambitious group of people. And helping them see that what they value, who they care about, who they are, can translate and be a great teacher in the classroom for children, that is helping folks see their time in the classroom.
One of my biggest frustrations is people who react, whenever we do a story about Milwaukee and schools, it's like this negative, like, oh, it's just a mess and train route, whatever terminology they use. I don't think that way. So I guess my question for you as we sort of wrap this up is, why should people who don't live in Milwaukee or don't work in Milwaukee or play in Milwaukee, why should they care about the educational ecosystem in Milwaukee? Why does that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I hear the same thing, and I think it's important for us to name that Milwaukee is the economic engine of the state. And
70+% of the economy. It's
Right.
not even close.
So for whatever reasons people choose to say that, it's not time for me to uncover, right? But that's economically speaking, Milwaukee matters to Wisconsin. And as we recruit folks to like the 15 Fortune 1000 companies headquartered in the city, as we bring talent in from Chicago and we're saying we want you to build your lives here, we want you to contribute taxes and socially to Milwaukee and thus broader Wisconsin, we have to have the education system that keeps people here. Once these 20-some-year-olds that we're recruiting come to Milwaukee to live, and then they choose to have a family and school-age kids, and they look around and wonder about the limited options they have, they might not just leave Milwaukee, they might leave the state, right? And we're talking about the economic engine of the kids who already live here, right? So, if I'm going to be transactional, there's an economic piece. There's a business piece that we need to think about. And if that doesn't tilt you, there's a people piece, right? Just because I have, there is shared prosperity that needs to be true for everyone that lives in this state.
A lot of love in the text line from Michael Wynn, Executive Director of Teach for America, including this. Teach for America is awesome as a volunteer tutor in an all-voucher school in Milwaukee, and we had Teach for America in that school. Huge! Exclamation point. And this Science of Reading rocks with about 6 exclamation points after it, which is good stuff.
Right. 6 exclamation points say a lot. So,
They do.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for hanging out. Hopefully have you on again, talking about education, sort of an educational hour in 2 different ways. But thanks to Michael Wynn for hanging out with us on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ. Quick break.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Don't think twice. Call Dice.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with a new LiftMaster or CHI maintenance-free garage door. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. A study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%. Garage doors ranked first among all home improvement projects. To see Geiss's huge selection of doors, visit their showroom in Brookfield, or you can also visit their online showroom at geissdoors.com. Geiss has everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, you call Geiss at 262-784-4250. That number again, 262-784-4250. It's Geiss. Visit them online at geissdoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Dice.
Every so often in medicine, something comes along that is truly revolutionary.
Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, former orthopedic surgeon, now National Medical Director at QC Kinetics.
I believe this is one of those things.
Dr. Scheinkup is talking about regenerative medicine, something he's practiced, researched, and written about for nearly 2 decades.
The old ways of dealing with joint pain, such as steroids and surgery, are no longer the best ways.
If you have pain from arthritis or injury, you owe it to yourself to learn more about this exciting option, using your own body's natural power to get lasting relief. And there's no better place to learn than QC Kinetics.
There is no one in this country today with more clinics, more satisfied patients, more advanced protocols, or more experience in using this exciting option to deliver life-changing results.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-667-5559. That's 414-667-5559. 414-667-5559.
Prizes, flyaways, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting WTMJ.com/contests.
That's WTMJ.com/contests.
Get the help you need. Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guests, old-fashioned roofing and trees on the move. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma sports station.
One of the reasons I wanted to turn this into an education hour in a couple different ways is I think this is an opportunity. It's one of those moments where we can decide what our future is going to be, and whether that's the technology piece and its impact on young people, or the teaching side, getting great instructors in front of these kids to do things maybe in a different way or a better way. I think there's an opportunity here. And I'm not a guy that gives up easily, and I'm not giving up on Milwaukee Public Schools or any school, because I think there's an opportunity. We can be better, and I think these kind of conversations can drive that. That's my excitement about this.
Good.
So I'm never going to shy away from that. Look, it's not as sexy as talking about social media, viral, whatever videos, but it's important.
I agree.
And to the texters, lots of thoughtful comments on our earlier conversation about technology. I get it. It's going to be sort of a trial and error how we do this. It sounds like most of the schools have implemented, followed the law, some sort of policy. It sounds like most of them, classrooms, you're not going to be having your phones out. And then in the hallways in some cases, or in the lockers, maybe that's allowable. They'll figure it out. I mean, schools are good at that. That's what they do. They deal with hundreds and if not thousands of kids every day. And to your point about, or a texter's point about parents messaging, don't do that. Leave your kid alone. Why do you think you have to bother your kid all the time? Why does the kid need that? Look, you love your kids. We get it. You want to be involved in their lives. They want to be involved and have great parents. And it's cool that you care about them and love them and nurture them. But give them the chance to be independent, make their own damn decisions, make their own damn mistakes. That's the dad in me talking. Sometimes it drives me nuts.
You got anything else?
That's it. I used it all up.
Holster's empty.
All done. News is next.
How do you know if you're truly ready to retire? Hi, I'm Tony Drake, certified financial planner and founder of Drake & Associates right here in Wisconsin. Many people focus on just one number, how much they've saved. But retirement readiness is about much more than a balance in your accounts. It's about having a clear plan for income, investments, taxes, healthcare, and how your money will support the lifestyle you want. Without that coordination, even a large nest egg can run into problems over time. At Drake & Associates, we help families create retirement plans designed to answer the big question, will your income last? Are you taking too much risk? And are there opportunities to reduce taxes along the way? To help you start thinking through those questions, I've created a complimentary retirement toolkit. It includes my book, Get Retirement Ready, and 5 practical guides covering investments, taxes, and retirement income strategies. Call 414-897-9522 or text the word READY to 414-897-9522 for your no-cost toolkit. That's 414-897-9522 or text READY to 414-897-9522. Because retirement isn't just about saving enough, it's about having a plan.
Drake & Associates LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates LLC does not provide legal or tax advice. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
I'm not one to say I told you so, but I switched to Pure Talk over a year ago, and ever since, I've been telling people there's no better wireless company out there. Well, a few months ago, a massive survey was conducted. 123,000 people were asked to rate their wireless carrier in 4 categories: coverage, support, data, and overall value. Well, the results are in. Guess which wireless company was the only wireless company to get 5 stars in every category? Yeah, Pure Talk. 5 stars, every category. To celebrate, Pure Talk is offering the first 3 months of any plan for just $15 a month, including their top-tier unlimited plan. No contract, no commitment, just a very inexpensive way to test drive the only American wireless company with 5 stars in every category. Just dial pound 250, say micro, and Pure Talk's U.S. customer service will take it from there. Again, pound 250, micro. And yes, I told you so.
The lights get bright in New York. but this crew belongs on center stage.
Start spread.
Here's the 2-2. And Jacob fly ball to center. Harris is back. Harris at the track, looking up. It is gone! Jake Bowers with one of the at-bats of the year.
The Brewers head to New York to take on the Mets. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 5:35 on the home of the Brewers, 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
At 11 o'clock, it's 75 degrees. Plenty of sunshine today with the high getting up to 78. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Neil Doyle. The Wisconsin Department of Justice is suing the U.S. Postal Service over a new mail-in voting rule. The rule would require states to register every voter who is eligible to vote by mail into a new Postal Service database. Wisconsin DOJ saying the rule could disrupt the November election and prevent some eligible voters from receiving their ballots. The rule follows an executive order by President Trump issued in March to establish a national list of eligible voters. In the 2024 general election, more than 1.5 million Wisconsin voters cast their ballots by mail. The city of Sheboygan covering all 15 of its flock cameras as the city is moving to end its contract with the company.
The cameras were installed in 2024 to capture license plates and help police investigate crimes. But police say they learned in July of actions by Flock Safety they believe were inconsistent with the city's contract and that undermined trust in the company. City staff began covering the cameras Tuesday to stop them from collecting license plate data. The Sheboygan Common Council will consider ending the Flock contract on September 8th. Nizer Spencer, WTMJ News.
The latest cyber attack has targeted one of the nation's top law enforcement agencies, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, saying the hacking affects what it calls a standalone system and that its missions have not been impacted. Still, the State Department calls it a major incident.
This is Jim Ryan. Cybersecurity experts say one way to keep from being hacked is to use two-factor authentication. The scale of the problem is reflected in the earnings report from Okta, one of the biggest providers of 2FA software. Okta's revenue soared 11% last quarter to $805 million, far beyond what Wall Street was anticipating. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Wisconsin lawmakers taking a closer look at whether National Guard and Reserve members should qualify for more state veterans benefits. Dane County Veterans Service Director Dan Connery.
You can have situations where a person does not qualify for any benefits at the federal level, but then if they get a disability rating from the VA, now they qualify. I think that having more uniformity in terms of what the definition of a veteran is important.
The committee is now considering those recommendations and possibly could bring new legislation next year. Milwaukee Public Schools heading into the new school year with about half as many teacher vacancies as it had a year ago. Superintendent Brenda Caselius.
We still have a lot of work to do. 60 openings is not where we ultimately want to be, but it represents real progress. We are entering this school year in a much stronger position than we were a year ago.
Caselius says the district continues to make literacy a top academic priority and is working to reduce elementary class sizes. More than 60,000 MPS students returned to the classroom on Tuesday. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the green. The NASDAQ up over 1% at 26,484. The Dow is up 152 points at 53,616. And the S&P 500 at 7,720. That's up 50. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, weather are next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:04.
WTMJ's Julia Fellow here for Jens Family Chiropractic in Germantown. Have you been dealing with nagging low back pain, sciatica, numbness, tingling? At Jens Family Chiropractic, they offer non-surgical spinal decompression. I'm getting that done right now on my neck. It's a gentle, targeted therapy designed to reduce pressure on irritated discs and nerves to help your spine recover. I feel so much better. Spinal decompression may be the best option for people struggling with disc problems or chronic neck and low back pain. especially when the same old treatments have not provided the relief that you're looking for. There are no injections, no surgery, and treatments are customized to you. Stop letting back pain dictate what you can and cannot do. Head to yentzfamilychiropractic.com to schedule your consultation. That's YENTZ familychiropractic.com to find out if non-surgical spinal decompression is right for you, as it has been for me. Head to yentzfamilychiropractic.com.
Katie, can you believe we're already talking about back to school?
I know. Feels like summer just started.
But before you know it, backpacks, shoes, and sports gear are taking over the house.
That's exactly when most families realize their home isn't working the way they need it to.
You have a problem, Inspired Closets has a solution.
We can design any space to make everyday life simpler.
Because getting organized isn't just about storage, it's about making your life a little less stressful.
Let us calm the chaos today at InspiredClosetsMilwaukee.com.
Inspired Closets.
A wife and husband team.
I'm very familiar with Gruber Law Offices because they're always out in the community.
Gruber Law Offices are known to be honest, hardworking.
They're always involved in our neighborhoods.
Gruber Law Offices make our community a better place.
They are the best. For nearly 40 years, Gruber Law Offices has helped people throughout Wisconsin. If you're injured, we're here to help. One call, that's all.
Wisconsin would not be the same without Gruber Law Offices.
Time for a WTMJ sports update from the Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all sports desk. Final game of the 3-game set tonight between the Brewers and Mets. Milwaukee taking game 2 last night 8-1, but a scary moment on the very first pitch of the game. Starter Dustin May, hit by a line drive, had to come out. Brewers president of baseball operations, Matt Arnold.
He's tough as nails, and after the game I talked to him, and he said he's doing okay, but like Murph said, I mean, when you get hit by 106, it's going to be painful, so thankfully, he's doing okay.
X-rays did come back negative. The team says May is dealing with a bruised shoulder. Jacob Mizorowski takes the mound tonight for the Crew. All of our coverage starting at 5:35 here on WTMJ. Pretty calm practice, a joint practice yesterday between the Packers and Cardinals. Only a few minor scuffles and dust-ups. The two teams will wrap up the preseason tomorrow night at Lambeau. Take a look at the road, your WTMJ time saver traffic. We did have a crash pop up right in the Hale interchange, but looks like that's been cleared, so good sign there. Otherwise, we're just seeing some typical slowdowns in some of our work zones, but everything looking good.
Save now during the Ken Michaels Furniture Labor Day sale. Ken Michaels Furniture, where you can enjoy unprecedented saving on better quality furniture and mattresses during their factory-sponsored Labor Day sale. Stop in today and save.
Plenty of sunshine as we head through the rest of your Thursday. A high around 78 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy, a low down to 63. Plenty of sunshine Friday, high of 78. And then into the weekend, partly cloudy Saturday. Could maybe see a shower or thunderstorm with a high of 81. Right now, 73 in Madison. It's 75 in Kenosha and sitting at 75 degrees in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:08.
11 o'clock on a Thursday means it's time for a full hour of city stories with Urban Milwaukee President Jeremy Janine on Point Taken.
Oh, that great music means one thing. Jeremy Janine is in studio with us for the whole hour.
Happy to be here. It's been a while since we've been at State Fair for me, you guys.
I know. You were gone last week. I got to see you over the weekend at Costco.
The place where everyone goes to dine if they have little kids.
Good hot dog, good pizza. The chicken tenders were okay.
Careful.
All right. So I love that, often you see some of the WTMJ news folks around town at different meetings when press conferences are held. How often do they end with someone saying, well, this was a waste of time?
Rarely. This was a 911 situation, which is unfortunate because this is about 911. To set the stage for all of this, at the end of July, there was phone calls made, not by this individual, but by a Life Alert like service. A 99-year-old woman on the south side of Milwaukee, there was a home intruder that a 23-year-old man had entered her house and appeared to be kicking her, and that apparently was audible on these calls. So she pushes whatever Life Alert like button she has it through a dispatcher, then dials the city's 911 system. No dispatch of personnel happens. It gets labeled like a tier 3 call, which isn't the highest priority. The dispatcher, again, her private service, calls again, Again, tier 3 call, no one gets dispatched. That's weird because you can audibly hear on the recordings of these calls.
They're horrific. I listened to them.
They're
horrific.
This woman being attacked. 2.5 hours later, this woman herself, 99 years old, after the attacker had left, calls 911, and finally someone is dispatched. So clearly something went wrong there. And you would expect a mea culpa press conference. And last week, this alert went out that Tony Bueno, the head of the city's Department of Emergency Communications, would host this press conference. And you expected to hear, we screwed up. Here's what we're doing to do better. These people have been disciplined, fired, whatever. And what happened yesterday was anything but that. You had a 10-minute press conference where Tony Bueno admitted that this was a serious issue. It was not held up to executed at the level of our standards that we expect of people. He said 2 people resigned. Then he said they separated. There's been prior reporting that those people were fired. So there was questions about that that he created new uncertainty in the situation. His deputies said, okay, here's the things we're doing. And they said, we're going to go get these 2 certifications, but insisted that they already largely meet the qualifications for these 2 certifications. So if you're hearing that, you're thinking, well, I'm not sure what's changing. Tony Bueno literally says our training is extensive. And then he says the dispatcher, who's a higher level employee than the call taker, is just going to get some retraining, some series of tips and tricks. They did not violate department policies, implying that these other 2 people who aren't there anymore did violate department policies and not dispatching officers to this call. And all that was not great, but then the worst thing happened, which was after being told transparency, 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 literally that word came out of the 3 different people's mouths that spoke from the Department of Emergency Communications. They took 2 questions and quietly exited the room and insisted there was a scheduling conflict. I offered, hey, I'll meet you in the hallway. We can do this wherever. A bunch of TV reporters were throwing out other solutions as Tony Bueno and his deputies silently walk out of the room and we're told, email in your questions. So transparency, not so much.
This story is so horrific, one, because the impact on this 99-year-old woman and the fact that she could have lost her life and wasn't helped when she had a system that was supposed to help her and an organization, the city of Milwaukee, that's supposed to provide help and assistance. Clearly, the buck's not stopping with Mr. Bueno because he's basically just ignored all these questions that you wanted to ask him about responsibility. You can say all you want about training. This seems like a common sense. What are you doing here? Like, it's a complete failure by those dispatchers.
And I think a lot of people probably would have been satisfied if this was 2 people who clearly didn't do their job. They have been terminated. I think that could have been the end of the story.
What's the protection?
So it's basically like he opened more questions than you even had before going into it.
It made me, if you've ever watched The Office, Michael Scott, something bad happens at the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company, and Michael Scott goes, we need to call a press conference to alert the press. And then stumbles and reveals all this bad information. That is essentially what happened here, where you took a bad situation and somehow made it worse.
What does he report to?
He reports, interestingly, to just like the fire chief and the police chief, to the Fire and Police Commission, not directly to the mayor.
So is this an issue to take to them, or does he have to answer to them as far as if there is more outcry or more questions? Like, what is the next step after a kind of bungled press conference?
I would expect the Fire and Police Commission is going to want a public answer on what happened here. I would expect the mayor has already demanded a private answer on what's going to happen, because despite the fact that the mayor might not have authority to fire this person clearly, he is still very involved in that person's job.
How is this direct quote from your thing? It's really not just it's really just a matter of refining our skill sets. It's on its basic level. She's calling or lifeguard,
lifeline.
Some service.
Yes.
Yeah.
She needs assistance. How do you not dispatch assistance?
And I've done some reading that suggests if you responded to every single one of these life alert calls, but in the audio of the call that has since been released, you can hear something violent happening in the background.
So a texter brings up a good point, because I know we've talked about this on this show with you previously, as far as the AI call screening, and that there at some point they were testing out AI
just. And this is what I expected. They did this very long press conference in January where Tony Bueno answered questions until everyone got tired. They're using AI for training, not for taking the calls, just for training. But so you expected lots of answers, and you got almost none.
Okay.
All right. We'll talk about Flock next, because I heard in the news with America's favorite newsman, Neil Doyle, at the Sheboygan's covering their cameras. So we'll talk about Flock and more. Jeremy and Janine, UrbanMilwaukee.com is our guy on Thursdays, all things local, city and county. We'll get more of that after this on 620 WTMJ. Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi. Have you listened to WTMJ Outdoors yet? Well, what are you waiting for? Every Saturday at 2 right here on 620 WTMJ. Stories of the outdoors in Wisconsin and beyond as we celebrate everything in recreation. This week, ATV and UTV ridership is way up in Wisconsin, but safety is a concern. We'll talk to some subject matter experts on that and more as we celebrate all things recreation and outdoors in Wisconsin.
It's WTMJ Outdoors, presented by Outdoor Living Unlimited.
One great day of golf can change lives. On Monday, August 31st, this coming Monday, point taken, that's me, Kristen, and Steve Scafidi will broadcast live from Oakwood Park Golf Course in Franklin for the Salvation Army of Milwaukee County's Swing for the Kettle Golf Invitational. Your participation directly supports food, shelter, and life-changing programs for children and families throughout our community. Help us today by texting GOLF to 24365 to donate. That's GOLF to 24365. We'll see you Monday at Oakwood Park Golf Course.
$998 buys you a magnificent diamond solitaire engagement ring at Kessler's.
A solid gold mounting shows off a big, beautiful diamond, 3/4 of a carat.
Glitter, twinkle, sparkle.
This is the definitive diamond solitaire engagement ring.
You can choose a round diamond, radiant, marquise, or oval.
3/4 of a carat. Any shape you want.
Any color of gold you want.
A 1-carat solitaire is just $1,498.
Ask to see the Evermore engagement rings at Kessler's.
You're going to be ecstatic about the color, clarity, and cut of your diamond.
Evermore.
Each of these diamonds was lovingly created in the heart of a miniature star.
Your diamond will remain.
Evermore.
Your diamond was born about the time you fell in love.
You will be in love.
Evermore.
Your diamond has been waiting patiently for you to see it, love it, and choose it.
Don't keep it waiting. Come to Kessler's.
To find the Kessler's nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. Hey, reminder, it is summer storm season, and weather damage can be a real issue at the house. So if you think you've got a problem, remember, Tri-County Contracting gives free estimates on any potential wind or hail damage. And here's the best part, they can always work directly with your insurance. It's Tri-County Contracting, WI.com. Love your home again, even during the storm season, with Tri-County Contracting, WI.com.
I guess that makes sense in a weird way. Not Flock of Seagulls, though. We're talking about Flock with Jeremy Janine, UrbanMilwaukee.com. Before we get to that, this world-renowned tchotchke shop that people always ask me about.
Which Steve still hasn't been to.
But I will be there eventually.
It's been very busy this week thanks to the 20,000 plus Jehovah Witnesses.
Is that how many there are? 20,000?
Do you think of like the RNC, we were talking 40 or 50,000, and that was like this insane number of people? 20,000 is a large number of people.
By the way, I've got a great story, for a Wisconsin story, about their arrival and what they did to prepare for it. And it surprised the hell out of me completely. Check it out in our newsletter. Extra is how you sign up for that. It's a great story.
Tease.
Yeah, it's a great tease. All right. Flock Common Council demanding more control over
We have
Flock.
12 of the 15 Common Council members signing a letter to the Milwaukee Police Department and the Fire and Police Commission demanding a series of things with Flock, mostly related to oversight. Again, Flock, and I'm sure everyone kind of knows what it is now, because if it's not data centers, we're talking about Flock, it seems like.
Yeah.
But it's these license plate reading cameras. So they're not out there taking video. They're just automated license plate readers, essentially photographing everything that goes by them and transcribing your license plate so that you can punch in Kristen's license plate into the system and you can see every Flock camera she's driven in front of, which the issue then becomes not just what's driving in front of the Milwaukee Police Department's cameras, but you're driving in front of any Flock camera and that data gets shared. That is one of the things the council wants a better understanding on is who is the Milwaukee Police Department authorizing to use its data? Whose data is the Milwaukee Police Department getting? It wants an independent investigator or auditor of the records of Flock use. And the reason that is we've now had 2 different Milwaukee Police Department officers charged. One has pled guilty for abusing Flock to track individuals who weren't the subject of crimes. And then we know there's an investigation for a third person underway, although it seems less substantial than the first ones. And then the other thing the council is looking for or might want to do is review the contract. So far, the police department has declared it, get in the weeds of city approvals, but they've declared it a commodity, which allows them to sign the contract with Flock without city approval. There has been at various points the council has voted for stuff, but not the latest agreements with Flock, especially since it's become so controversial.
And admittedly, public safety has not been their own worst enemy when it comes to Flock because of the stories you just mentioned and the fact that they're not doing the right thing. And we see these. This is more of an opinion, and you can tell me whatever but I'm going to ask it anyway.
Kick rocks.
Do you see any environment where this common council, this city says, we're going to find a way to make this work? Or do you see this as just as the beginning of the end of Flock?
The thing you consistently get from law enforcement, and if we go back 3 or 4 years, we talk so much about stolen cars. And the very people who signed this letter, Marina Dmitrievich, Scott Spiker, that often at political different ends of the spectrum on public safety, 2 years ago or a year ago, were supporting getting more Flock cameras with business improvement districts on the basis that then they were helping find stolen cars. If you're searching for someone like an Amber Alert type thing and you know they're in a car, it's very good technology for that. We're now seeing a public on a national level disapproval of the extent to which the data is shared. So you're not just seeing the movement in Milwaukee. You see people tracked across state lines. That, I think, is what the council is getting at. To answer your question directly, I don't think this is going to be the end of Flock in Milwaukee, but I think there's going to be a lot of guardrails coming. And the Common Council has the authority under Act 12, the sales tax law, to put those guardrails in place if Jeffrey Norman doesn't do it himself.
Because that's what it seems like people, because it's the surveillance part of it, right? Of people who have done nothing wrong, don't want to be watched, but then you list off all these other use cases where it is very helpful. So ultimately, whether it's Milwaukee or other communities, like where does the regulation and statutes lie to restrict like how it's used? Like, would this come back to the Common Council? Would it go to the Fire Police Commission? Like, who's in charge of saying this is like, who can use it, who can access it, how you use it when police officers have access to the data?
So it'll first go to the Fire and Police Commission because they can work out things with the police department, the fire department on any public safety matter. If the police department says no, the Common Council has the authority to amend a standard operating procedure, which is essentially the law by which the police department operates under.
Okay.
They could enact many of the things they want. Anytime you run a Flock search, you got to have the investigation number next to it. We need data on who all these people are. It needs to be audited by an independent person. They have the authority to put that all into place. It seems like they want the police department to voluntarily do that. Part of that's because a lot of this depends on what is Flock's technology behind the scenes. Could the city of Milwaukee opt out of sharing its camera information with the rest of the nation? I go to like Meyer and Oak Creek and there's like 4 Flock cameras at the exit there. Well, the police department theoretically has access to that. And I don't know who's using the Meyer cameras, if it's the Oak Creek Police Department or if Meyer Security is using it. They might have access to the MPD information. The council wants an answer on how that information
I'll get the answer
works.
to that question.
Is there a chance that this is becoming a big enough deal where this would get escalated to statewide regulation? And would they have any authority over that?
You're then speculating on who controls the legislature. The state certainly could regulate the use of automated license plate reading cameras. That applies. The city uses more than just Flock for automated license plate reading. There's some mobile units attached to the front of police cars, but none of them are as networked as the Flock cameras are.
I think ultimately this question comes down like a lot of different issues: accountability, rights, and oversight. You have to do the minimum to make sure these things aren't abused. That's why we're talking about this, because they're abused by the very people who want this technology. It makes no sense, but here we are talking about it. All right. What the Flock? All right. After the break, more with Jeremy Janine, UrbanMilwaukee.com.
Looking to build or remodel? Then the 80th MBA Parade of Homes is where your vision begins. Explore 17 extraordinary homes in 2 locations, Quietwood in Menominee Falls and the Snyder Farm in Oconomowoc. Each home showcases premium craftsmanship and design shaped for the way you want to live. Walk through spaces that spark ideas, elevate expectations, and inspire your next chapter. The parade runs August 15th through September 7th. For tickets and locations, visit mbaparadeofhomes.com.
Hey, it's WTMJ, Steve Scavase. Your doctor told you it's time to lose weight? Well, listen, is your blood pressure up, your cholesterol climbing, or you're already on medication and wondering, is this just my regular life now? Have you been told you need a procedure or surgery? And I've heard this from several people. You have to lose weight fast. That's where many people get stuck. At Milwaukee Weight Loss, they help people lose 20 to 40 pounds naturally in about 60 days without injections, prepackaged meals, or extreme workouts. More importantly, they help you keep the weight off, so you're not stuck wondering what problem is next. I've told my story before. 60 pounds down from last January 1st, 2025. It works. Imagine improving your health, taking pressure off your joints. My joints feel fine now. Feel better every day, because if nothing changes, it can mean even more of the bad stuff, the medications, or bigger problems down the road. Milwaukee Weight Loss is about more than the number on the scale. I have more energy. You can too. You can feel healthier, eating healthier, building habits that help you keep the weight off for good. But here's the great news. Right now, $200 off through August 31st. That's coming up pretty quick. Schedule your free consultation out at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Bring us your problems, deadlines, complexities, anxieties, distractions, and budget distresses.
Plum Media is listening.
Share with us your creative block.
Plum Media is ready.
Give us your audience with limited time and attention.
Plum Media sets your message free.
Let's get your message heard. Let's strive for retention from beginning to completion. Whether your next event is for celebration, education, motivation, inspiration, Plum Media is waiting to take action.
Professional collaborators, planners, managers. Plum Media, video production and event management.
Plum Media, wow moments, flawless execution, clarity, calm, control.
And results.
Plum Media, a video, meetings, and event producer with global experience. PlumMedia.com.
Boy, do we live in a fantastic state. WTMJ's John Mercure here. We explore the state each week, Saturdays at 1 o'clock, and experience Wisconsin. That's right. We go from Lake Michigan to the Mississippi, from north to south. This week's show, it's incredible. We'll take you to some really cool places. We will go to Racine County. We'll check out lovely Lake Geneva, and we'll spend some time in Whitewater, the best and brightest in the state of Wisconsin. It's Experience Wisconsin, Saturdays at 1, right here on 620 WTMJ.
So, yeah, we got brilliant texters today, and they're on point. All right, politics story. I'll hand it off to you.
Well, I had a friend text me this story this week and say, this seems weird to me as far as who it was, why they were getting together. But there was a group of Democrats having a chat that the press was invited to, which included Devin Remacher, who's the head of WisDems, Representative Devin Draka, who's Whitefish Bay area,
North Shore.
For Assembly District, Mayor Chevy Cavalier Johnson,
Ismael Luna, who's
a candidate.
He just upset Sylvia Ortiz Velez in a Democratic primary on the South Side.
So what were they doing and what were they trying to accomplish with this meeting?
In the wake of the 2024 election, there was this new national group formed called Majority Democrats, and their vision is essentially to build a coalition of Democrats to win in what I would describe as purple areas. So you could look at all of Wisconsin that way, or you can look at like where Deb Andraka flipped a red district to a blue district. They're trying to make a message and a strategy that appeals to swing voters, to independent voters, and to show that they're delivering results for Democrats. And there was a meeting Monday morning to discuss it was a strange event to cover because Majority Democrats was filming this conversation, which was these 4 or 5 people sitting around a table at Blueback Kitchen discussing what it would mean to be winning for Democrats. So I kind of wrote down what they're talking about, strategies on doing doors, positive messaging.
Give us some stuff.
So it's like it's a weird thing to me though. So it's like they were cameras set up just to watch them have kind of like a performative conversation.
Yeah, and you could see some of them were better at that than others.
And I say that with love because I know most of those people.
And then later that day, Cavalier Johnson held a lunch with Republican and independent voters to talk about essentially why to vote for Democrats, what Democrats can do for them. One of the things Deb Andraka pointed out is that is someone who flipped a district. She's now in rooms that the room she's in, I think she was referring to like community meetings and stuff, traditionally haven't had a Democrat in the room at all, an identified Democrat, at least in a leadership position. And so there was a discussion about like the danger of the ambulance service collapsing, which is something we talked about Milwaukee EMS service a couple of years ago. Medicare reimbursement rates or Medicaid reimbursement rates are just not high enough. Well, on the North Shore, that was an issue as well. And she was able to point out that, Governor Tony Evers allocated federal funding to shore up the system. And the people actually were, she said, satisfied with that answer, but had no idea that anyone had actually tackled that issue from a left or right leaning perspective. So for her, it was about messaging.
So which is something, right? It's whenever government is actually doing something, they're not always great at telling you what they've accomplished versus problems persisting. So
absolutely. Melissa Baldoff, the George Lepecki's wife, but the Democratic strategist, made a big deal of making sure we're not just showing up every 2 years or 4 years, but when you're knocking doors, you're present, you're there all around.
It's more about protecting the Democratic brand against the DSA folks, in my opinion. But we'll get to that in a later conversation. All right, we got local news update. America's favorite newsman, Neil Doyle. Before we get to that, the latest from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Historic flooding in Nepal, triggered by what experts say was a massive landslide in Tibet that hit a glacier, created a cascade of ice and debris throughout the valley. There are more than 350 deaths, 1,300 others missing. The State Department says some 90 U.S. citizens could be impacted throughout the region. ABC's Tom Sufi Burrich has more.
Tibet is a tightly controlled Chinese region, so information coming out of there is very, very scarce right now. We do have a clearer picture in Nepal more broadly about the scale of this disaster and really the catastrophic impact it has had on those very, very remote areas right up in the mountains, which are very, very hard to access for the rescue teams trying to get in there now.
Happening in Massachusetts, the judge in the Lindsay Clancy trial giving jurors their final instructions before starting deliberations. The mother is charged in the murders of her 3 children. Defense attorneys say she suffered from postpartum psychosis. On Wall Street, stocks are up this hour. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Neil Doyle. A teenager gets life in prison for the death of his 10-year-old cousin in Chippewa Falls.
Carson Petersberger was just 14 years old when investigators say he lured his cousin Lily Peters into the woods, then strangled and sexually assaulted her back in 2022. Petersberger pled guilty to first-degree intentional homicide. A Chippewa County judge dismissed 2 charges of child sexual assault under a plea deal. Defense attorneys had tried to get the case moved to juvenile court, arguing that Petersberger would better receive the mental health treatment he needs there. But the judge said the offenses were too serious and refused. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
Governor Tony Evers asking for a disaster declaration from the White House after a tornado and severe storm damage in the Fox Valley last month. Assessments finding nearly $14 million in damage to public infrastructure, another $8 million to residential properties. That was across portions of Winnebago, Outagamie, and Forest counties. The request now heading to the president for his approval. And it's that time of year, many college students moving back into the residence halls. Mary Jan, Senior Director of Housing and Residence Life at Marquette University, tells WTMJ.
The class is about 2,100 students. We have them from 43 states, 14 different countries, and over 200 first-generation college students in the class of 2030. Classes for Marquette students start next week. Time for news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Everything in the green. The NASDAQ up over 1% at 26,500. The Dow is up 178 points at 53,643. And the S&P 500 sitting at 7,728. That's up 52. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Take a look at the roads, your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We do have a couple of disabled vehicles that have popped up across the system, but really none of them in traffic, so not any major concerns. We are seeing some typical tapping of the brakes, 94 east and westbound right through the stadium interchange. Otherwise, everything else looking good. Plenty of sunshine as we move through the rest of your Thursday. High getting up around 78 degrees. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low down to 63. Pretty much repeats tomorrow. Sunny with highs in the upper 70s. And then into the weekend, Saturday, partly cloudy. Could maybe see a shower or thunderstorm with a high of 81.
Right now, it is 71 in Sheboygan. We're sitting at 75 in Waukesha, and it's 75 in Milwaukee. I'm Neil Doyle, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:34.
Hey, WTMJ's John Mercure here. You know where I like to shop? It's Griffin's Hub, and right now they've got something super cool. Join Griffin's Hub for 2 days of big savings and a great time. On Saturday, August 29th and Labor Day, Monday only, choose from Griffin's Hub's huge selection of new and used vehicles priced to move. Some places have struggling inventory levels. Not Griffin's Hub. They're going to take care of you big time. Buy a vehicle on either day, August 29th or Labor Day, and drive home with your choice of a 55-inch flat-screen TV. Or how about a Blackstone 36-inch outdoor griddle? And when you just take a test drive, you'll receive a free metal tumbler. Don't miss your chance to save big and take home an incredible bonus gift from Griffin's Hub. These special offers are available for 2 days only, Saturday and Labor Day Monday. Head to Griffin's Hub to find your next new or used vehicle today. Griffin's Hub, where big savings and great deals are waiting for you.
988 Wisconsin Lifeline. How can I help you?
Share hope, find purpose when you become a 988 Lifeline counselor. The 988 Wisconsin Lifeline provides free and confidential support to anyone in crisis. 988 has experienced tremendous growth, and more statewide counselors are needed. Staffed by Family Services, 988 counselors work remotely, are offered competitive compensation, benefits, and training. Apply today at 988lifelinecounselor.org. Family Services is an equal opportunity employer.
Paid for by grants from SAMHSA and the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
Brew Crew Tuesdays are back on September 8th.
Fly ball center field. It's hit well. Grisham back. It is gone!
Catch the Brewers on local TV as they battle the Chicago Cubs.
Got him swinging. Threw him a curveball. It's 11 Ks for Mizorowski.
This edition of Brew Crew Tuesdays is presented by Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Tune in September 8th at 6:40 on Fox 6 in Milwaukee, or check your local listings to watch the game.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristen Pry. He's Steve Scapidi.
Still.
The other one's Jeremy Janine here on
The other guy.
Thursdays.
Also
the other
still.
guy. All right. Governor's race.
Governor's race. It came to Milwaukee. I mean, it's obviously David Crowley's in it, so it's always in Milwaukee in some respects. But Tom Tiffany came to Milwaukee to deliver a message about his economic plan. He has an 8-point plan, largely cutting taxes, giving rebates to people. How would he pay for it? He says there's always money in Madison. And he pointed to that the last 2-year state budget, he said, increased funding or increased spending by $15 billion. So I don't need to make cuts anywhere else other than there's always money to be found in Madison. But it was kind of what he said as an aside to that really struck me as interesting and something we should talk about. He believes voters are going to deliver a clear message to David Crowley in November. And I'm quoting him now. They're going to say, stay in Milwaukee County because we do not want to, quote, Milwaukee County, the entire state of Wisconsin. What does he mean by that, David? And this is what he said he explicitly means by it. I think lots of people draw implicit criticism there. But David Crowley has never met a tax cut that he does not like. He called David Crowley the Milwaukee County tax collector. Tiffany portrays his record as very simple. David Crowley's record is far more complex than that. And let's just get into some of the numbers for a minute. Tom Tiffany talks about David Crowley nearly doubled the sales tax, which is accurate and very misleading at the same time. The Milwaukee County portion of the sales tax did go up by 0.4 percentage points on top of the 0.5 percentage points. So it went up 80%. But in the total sales tax you pay, that's less than 10%. So understanding the significance of those numbers there. And that was part of Act 12, which was a bipartisan agreement that David Crowley celebrated at the time. When
don't gloss over that. Republicans and Democrats endorsed that.
This is the interesting thing of Tiffany formerly being in the legislature, but now not, is he never had to vote for this, but Robin Voss crafted this deal, Devin LeMahieu, Tony Evers, Cavalier Johnson, David Crowley. It was bipartisan support and bipartisan celebration, other than now Tom Tiffany is using that as a bludgeon on David Crowley. David Crowley's repeatedly defended that. He also points to David Crowley increasing taxes. He talks about this big tax increase that David Crowley's done. And David Crowley has increased taxes in, I think it's 4 out of the 5 or 5 out of the 6 years he's been county executive. But the cumulative tax increase that the county collects has been 1.69%. Now, depending on how you define inflation in that same window, it's close to 20%. So actually the county's property tax collections, we've talked about this as it relates to all kinds of other fiscal issues, the county is collecting less money to perform services than it has, which is part of why it continues to try and increase taxes, which are limited by the state. Now, go ahead.
As I say, it's very hard to put that in a commercial.
Yes, very hard. So this will be a problem for David Crowley. And then here is where David Crowley makes it worse, is that he seems to confuse his own record, unlike, and this was his response from his campaign to what Tom Tiffany said. Unlike Congressman Tiffany, who has sold out working people to pay for tax cuts for billionaires, David has lowered property taxes, created jobs, and delivered for our state. Now, the interesting thing is I just told you he raised property taxes, but he did, in 1 out of those 5 or 6 years, lower property taxes marginally, which was clearly a political move at the time, as we reported. And it seemed an odd move because we knew the next year he was going to have to raise them because this fiscal straitjacket that the city and county has put the states in, or the state has put cities and counties in.
They've tied their hands.
So when you hear claims from either of these sides, I encourage you to look very closely at what the real numbers tell you.
They're true enough to say them, but often misleading.
As we know, no one's fact checking those commercials. At least the last time, and we can't fact check the commercials. They run them they just run. Unless they use a bad word.
We're not allowed to fact check it.
No. And unless they use a bad word, they just run. So that's the power of those commercials.
Some bad law.
Yeah. Well, it's politics. That's why I say politics is stupid. More with Jeremy Janine from UrbanMilwaukee.com every Thursday, 11 o'clock hour. We appreciate his local knowledge and reporting. Journalism still matters. We'll get to more journalism after this on 620 WTMJ.
As the kiddos get ready to get back to school, you can find really great back-to-school savings at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. School supplies and some surprisingly cool clothing too. And teachers, you get an additional discount. Get the best back-to-school bargains at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
With an ever-changing inventory, you never know what great bargains you're going to be able to find at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores. It makes shopping fun because the best finds are the ones you had no idea you'd even come across. And when they're at thrift store prices, it feels good. And it feels even better to know you're helping us help others. Shop St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Just doing some roofing on another lovely Wisconsin day. No gimmicks, no shortcuts, it's just roofing done the old-fashioned way. Do you need shingles? Well, let's mingle, for a Wisconsin tradition never dwindles. So raise a glass, shake a hand for this old-fashioned brand. Whoop, that's old-fashioned roofing.
Picture this, a perfect summer evening, great friends, and dinner on the patio overlooking a beautiful course. That's Racine Country Club. More than golf, it's a place to relax, gather, and belong. A new energy is here, and you're invited to experience it. From great food to unforgettable events, it's a lifestyle built around community. Whether it's a quick 9 after work, dinner with friends, or a weekend with family, Racine Country Club offers something for everyone, year-round. Discover what's new at Racine Country Club. Visit RacineCountryClub.com.
Sports parents know the countless hours and dollars spent on practice, games, equipment, training, travel. So when an injury happens, why don't we invest in recovery too? Vince Vitrano for MD Hyperbaric. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy supports the body's natural healing process, whether it's recovering from injury or a concussion, because it's not just about getting your athlete back on the field, it's about helping them recover for school, work, and life long after the season ends. Learn more at mdhyperbaric.com.
It's the most wonderful time of year at Staples. They've got back-to-school supplies as low as 25 cents, up to 40% off select tech, and more at staples.com/back-to-school. Staples, that was easy.
Trees on the Move, offering ideas for outdoor living and beautifying with landscape consultation, design, and installation, including retaining walls, paved patios, tree trimming, and more. Trees on the Move's been offering landscape services for over 47 years and now offers stamped and colored concrete drives, patios, and sidewalks. Beautify your yard this year with Trees on the Move. TreesOnTheMove.com.
From planning to planting, Trees on the Move.
Welcome back to Point Taken. All right. First foreclosure, now bankruptcy for Highgrove's rental empire. Jeremy Janine, what does that mean?
That remains to be seen exactly what that means, but it seems to indicate that David Tomlin, who City Attorney Evan Goike and Common Ground very publicly at the end of March went after with a lawsuit and a public campaign, that he had this whole, like, I'm just misunderstood, I'm going to tell my own story. Well, the only way he's telling his story currently, and this is his response to a text message from me, is see the bankruptcy filing. So his filing says that the city filed this lawsuit, and therefore I lost 15% of my rent collections right away. So my rental empire, which is 200 some units of housing on the north side of Milwaukee, so one of the city's largest landlords, nothing in the ballpark of Barada, but very large nonetheless, and in very poor condition, that it's looking like a house of cards, but now how long the bankruptcy process drags out could really slow down the city's attempt to get someone to intervene and improve the condition of these properties.
How much physical space does this take up, property-wise?
200. And we're looking at 150 plus duplexes. Wow. So, I mean, it's
a lot.
So I was going to say, how many people does that end up impacting as far as tenants that are just living in?
I saw a number again, fact check this as we're pointing to our last thing, but for some reason I thought it was at least 800 that I saw was an estimate from someone at one point.
And describe the conditions that they're living in, because it's been a while since we talked about
this.
Yeah,
there's photos of people actively living in homes with holes in the ceiling where you're just looking up into the second floor, and it's not like it's fenced off or anything. It's going to keep collapsing. There's reports, lots of reports about lead paint issues, which would indicate more long-term maintenance issues with the properties. People reporting about, things that are not required, but like lack of air conditioning or faulty appliances. Certain appliances are required. Lack of heat, which of course is something the city can intervene in. The Department of Neighborhood Services had logged, I believe it was thousands of complaints and calls to the properties. And again, that's looking at the number of properties, that's like a dozen visits to each property.
And remind us what's protecting him from having to go fix this?
The menagerie of laws that we have in the state, which there's just no immediate action, so that the state does have this pathway of this nuisance action, which is exactly what the city's trying to do is, judge, look at this in total. This is a problem. Give us a receiver, so not us, but this third party, to come in and mandate fixes here. And that's what the city's trying to do. Bankruptcy, because that goes to a different court, threatens to slow that down, which means these conditions continue.
Would the phrase be convoluted process to sort of go after these people?
It's convoluted to get enforcement. And so the city found actually the knife to slice through with the nuisance case. Now David Tomlin's legal strategy, and maybe he needs to do it based on these filings. It seems like, yes, that he has something like $1 million in assets in between $10 and $50 million in liabilities, that he's deliberately convoluting the process so we can hold on to his properties longer, try and refinance them, try and get a new investor.
So if people just stopped paying rent to him, could he evict them?
Yes, except there's a Department of Neighborhood Services program. So if you live in one of these homes or in another home with bad conditions in the city of Milwaukee, call the Department of Neighborhood Services. You pay them instead. They hold the money in escrow until the conditions are improved.
Okay.
And that applies to any home in the city of Milwaukee, and I believe it's a state law.
All right. I think that's a positive story. Once in foreclosure, East Side Towers sell for $94 million.
Yeah, this is an overlooked building, but there's two 20-story towers on the corner of Prospect and Lafayette on the east side of Milwaukee, the lower east side. You drive by them probably all the time or go by them. You can see them from the lakefront. But when they were built, they went into a bankruptcy almost immediately. It was supposed to be a very large condo development by a Chicago developer. He sold 8 of the 280 units before things fell apart. There was a $100 million plus foreclosure case. The Mandel Group came in eventually in 2011, turned it into a very successful apartment complex. Along to when the Lazary and Edens family bought the Bucks, there were lots of Bucks players and people affiliated with the Bucks living there. I can safely say that now because I think they're all gone. Peter Fagan was a resident there.
Oh, no kidding.
So it became a high-end destination for people to live. And now we have Cottonwood Communities out of Utah buying it for $94 million, a considerable premium on the $55 million it was essentially valued at in 2011.
And any indication of anything will change there other than just being a high-end residential?
No, Mandel Group will continue to manage the property on behalf of Cottonwood. They're just a real estate investment trust.
All right. I call this, you call it the extras. I call this the grab bag because he's got like 25 things in this last segment. We'll see what we can get to in that remaining moments with Jeremy and Janine. UrbanMilwaukee.com, great destination for great local reporting. Quick break on 620 WTMJ. Point taken.
Is life insurance still on your list from earlier this year? Now is the perfect time to just get it done. A buddy told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I added this to my list this year and got it done. I called SelectQuote and was shocked at how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $18 a month. My wife's also 40 and her $5,000 policy was only $16 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, no medical exam was required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Checking this off my list felt great, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-280-5858 for your free quote today. That's 1-800-280-5858. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-280-5858. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
WTMJ's Julia Fellow here for Jens Family Chiropractic in Germantown. Have you been dealing with nagging low back pain, sciatica, numbness, tingling? At Jens Family Chiropractic, they offer non-surgical spinal decompression. I'm getting that done right now on my neck. It's a gentle, targeted therapy designed to reduce pressure on irritated discs and nerves to help your spine recover. I feel so much better. Spinal decompression may be the best option for people struggling with disc problems or chronic neck and low back pain, especially when the same old treatments have not provided the relief that you're looking for. There are no injections, no surgery, and treatments are customized to you. Stop letting back pain dictate what you can and cannot do. Head to jensfamilychiropractic.com to schedule your consultation. That's YENTZ familychiropractic.com to find out if non-surgical spinal decompression is right for you as it has been for me. Head to jensfamilychiropractic.com.
Drafty windows means wasted money. Call Siding Unlimited today for energy-efficient replacement windows and doors and start saving now. For a free estimate and honest price guarantee, go to sidingunlimited.com.
Day after day, year after year, the heavy lifting, the repetitive motion, and now your body feels it. Your back, your knees, your quality of life. At Pivot Work Injury Law, we stand up for those worn down by work. Workers' comp is our sole focus, and we've recovered more than $50 million for Wisconsin workers. From sudden accidents to pain that builds over years of hard work, we're dedicated to fighting for the benefits you're entitled to. If you've been worn down by work, contact Pivot Work Injury Law today for a risk-free consultation. Visit pivotworkinjurylaw.com.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
Would you turn down a promotion that would boost your salary? And a new study says many people would say no. I'll be honest, I was not surprised at all by the results.
Flexibility is a word that we've used a lot when we talked about the job market here and what is important to job seekers.
Bringing you the latest in news, sports, traffic, and weather every weekday from noon until 3 p.m. Only on WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma sports station.
We are
Plenty
in the
of
city.
time.
We're in the city. Plenty of time to, whip through these 1,800 topics you
There's
put in. Seven. It looked like a long list. I overstated it. Full admission.
You exaggerate?
I exaggerate.
What?
Well, you don't exaggerate all the time. All right. Start us off.
Let's go.
You got 3 minutes. Get to it.
Governor Tony Evers appointed 2 new judges to fill vacancies caused by retirements in Milwaukee County. Jay Pusick, who was the deputy director of the city's Fire and Police Commission, he's replacing retired Judge Glenn Yamahiro. Pusick is a former law enforcement officer. He's worked in the prosecution side. And then to go a completely different direction from career experience, he also appointed Melinda Eskra, the managing attorney of Legal Action of Wisconsin. She's replacing retiring Judge Paul I don't know how to say Paul's last name, but I apologize, Grunson. In Branch 9. So they, under state law, they both get appointed for 1 year, and then there'll be a special election for a full 6-year term. But usually when a Democratic governor appoints judges in Milwaukee, they rarely get bounced. If a Republican judge or a Republican governor appoints someone, you do see contested elections. Other things going on at the county level, the Capital Improvements Committee met. We'll have a story on Urban Milwaukee shortly about a number of playgrounds, and I bet we'll talk about it next week. But something that'll likely become an issue in the governor's race, and I'm curious how it'll play, is the $900 million courthouse project. Essentially got its first endorsement as how it will appear in the next budget. The Capital Improvements Committee kind of reviews spending expenditures in advance of Crowley proposing the budget. Staying at Milwaukee County, Graham Kilmer went on a tour with developers who are looking at buying the Milwaukee Public Museum. They got a behind-the-scenes tour, but not the sexy, like, look at the stuff in storage. Instead, it's the sexy, look at our boiler and our foundation tour.
That's not sexy.
So he was there for that. If you're interested in that and kind of how the buildings could be reused, Graham's got coverage of that on Urban Milwaukee. Another thing in the same neighborhood, the workers, the unionized workers in the Deer District surrounding Fiserv Forum, they're organized through Milwaukee Area Service and Hospitality Workers Union, commonly known as MASH. They won big raise increases in part of a new collective bargaining agreement. I guess staying with the county still, Graham was on a heater last week. Supervisor Sheldon Wasserman proposes pension reform, but this would apply to a very small group of people. The part-time employees of the county actually were eligible for a pension. He's proposing to change that dramatically. If you go look at the story of the county's pension scandal from 25 years ago, those part-time pensions became a key thing for people juicing their pension once they became full-time employees.
Careful what you do there.
So he's trying to secure that, dial it back. In the south side, we talked about Ismael Luna upsetting Sylvia Ortiz Velez. That race might not be over, maybe.
Not yet?
She filed a challenge to his residency. Graham broke it all down. In the article, we're waiting for some action there.
But isn't it that you have up until once you're in seat to move to the district?
For a city race.
Got it.
And it might apply to a county as well, but for the state partisan races,
You already have to be in this.
So that's the classic hold on a second.
Yeah, hold.
Okay.
And we'll see there. There's, I guess, yes, hold on. We'll be talking about it more, I'm sure. One other thing, Clinton Rose Senior Center on North Martin Luther King Drive, a renovation project just was completed there. There's, I believe, a nice Henry Aaron mural outside of it. And then finally, we're going to get through all of them. Abandoned motorcycles are getting new life. When the city picks up an abandoned motorcycle on the streets, a nonprofit is now getting those motorcycles. We talked about this when it was proposed several months ago, but they're working with youth to train them on how to repair the motorcycles and drive them.
Very cool.
Very cool. Good way to end it. Jeremy Janine, urbanmilwaukee.com. Always a great resource. Always love hanging out with you. Thanks for all the great journalism you do. The news is next. We'll see you on the Friday edition of Point Taken, a special edition because of my role tomorrow. We'll tell you all about that tomorrow morning. Join us.
Labor Day and the American labor movement were built on three